So off topic now. Let me, find the clicker. It would be nice to do a presentation, right? I've never done one for so quickly in 20 minutes. Let me tell you about my story. How did it all start? How many of you have learned something in one weekend, like gone to a weekend intensive training and been certified in something? Yeah. So I did that. Let me tell you where I was. I started working 20 years ago for a little company called Pepsi. And they owned Pizza Hut and Frito-Lay and rotated me through their marketing departments. And then I went over to the alcoholic beverages side and worked for a company called Smirnoff. And then worked for Playtex, and for the last 7 years of my career I was with BIC. Now, when I started with BIC, I also went to this weekend certification to become a coach. How many of you are coaches in the room? Not that many, okay. And so when you apparently, 8 years ago, if you were a coach and you went to a networking event, you know what they told you to tell people that you did? They said, don't tell them you're a coach because nobody knows what a coach is. So they said, for the love of God, instead ask them, what would you like more of in your life instead? So instead of saying, I'm a coach, you're supposed to say, what would you like more of? So I went to this networking event. How many of you have been to a networking event for hundreds of people that you've never seen in your life? How many of you like the experience? No, not me. So this was my first time after like 13 years of working in corporate, across the world, and then I go to this meeting, and at the food bar, the buffet, a woman very kindly asked me, what is it that you do? And the training kicked in, and I said, well, what is it that you'd like more of? What do you think she did?
Walked away.
Yeah, but do you know what she said before she walked away? She took a step back. She put her plate back down on the buffet, and she said, I feel like you're attacking me with a sales pitch, and I'm extremely uncomfortable. And she walked out. And I walked out right after her because I was devastated. And that was the moment this book was born, called Gentle Marketing. And I was driving home that night, practically in tears, thinking, Chala, you've been marketing huge brands all your life. What the hell is wrong with you? You can't even talk to a human being. You can't sell yourself. You've been selling all these brands. That's the night where I decided to take everything that I'd learned from working for these big companies and then apply it to myself and then apply it to other businesses. And now, it's been 2 years since I left my corporate job that I loved with BIC. Loved my boss, used to get a diamond ring every year for fulfilling our numbers. And I am happier. Let me tell you what my life is like now. What did I learn? Everything that I won't be able to show you everything in 30 minutes, but I'm going to show you what I can show you. And the results, well, I work with my ideal client, and within a year, I was making the same as what I was making at BIC after a 20-year corporate career, and now I'm on track to triple my 2012. And I've only been in business for 2 years. So these are the things that I learned once I made that decision, that horrible turning point in my life. I have a coach that I pay the price of a small card to. And this was a huge shift for me in my mindset. How many of you have coaches? How many of you pay the small car price to a coach? Yeah, I do. And I spend as much time. I have a 4-year-old. I usually try to pick him up at 4 o'clock. And he's really something else. And we became parents late in life. So that's a huge determinant in my life. That's what makes me happy. How happy am I working less hours, not traveling when my boss says I have to, and making more money than I used to? And then I get up each and every day. Not that I didn't love selling pens, come on, don't get me wrong, or Pepsi, but I change lives. So how many of you feel like you change lives? Yeah, isn't it great what we do? So here are the key elements of gentle attraction. One is being different than others. We're going to get to talk about that. 2 is having a laser focus. I've been talking about this a lot, niche. Having a niche. The third one we're not going to get to talk about is getting into your client's world and speaking to your client's pain. We're not going to get to talk about. But they are available to you in the forms that I'm going to offer you at the end. There's a way to get those, and they are available in the book, which you can buy on Amazon.com. Okay? So let's see. How do you become different? Who can explain, as if to a 4-year-old, what is a brand? Yeah.
It's your packaging that makes you different from everyone else and make people remember you.
Do you know where it started? Branding? Like, where did it come from? Anybody know? Sorry? Soap? Well, good start, good guess. Yeah.
Was it the cattle?
Yeah. That's right, that's right. Why did they brand cattle? Yeah, who does it belong to? And you know what? You guys are cattle in your own industry. So the brand defines who you are in people's minds. Let me tell you a story. How many people live close to South Etobicoke like I do? Well, I don't know if you have it in your house, but we have a centipede problem. How many people have a centipede problem? Centipedes are those brown insects that run really fast. They have lots of legs. It's disgusting. And they run so fast, they freak me right out. So imagine it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I have been breastfeeding, and I go to the bathroom, I turn on the light, and a centipede, big fat grandfather centipede, runs across my foot. What do you think is the first word that comes to mind? 2 a.m. in the morning.
Happy!
You're going to be surprised, but honest to God, the first word that came to mind was Orkin. Orkin is our pest control company. I spend easily $750 with them every year. No joke. That's a problem. I have an issue. And we have an issue. So they're the first name that came to mind because we've used a lot of pest control companies, but they were the best. And they're the best at it, and they're the best branded, because I see them everywhere. I see them in my world everywhere. And when I have a problem, in the moment of my pain, if their name pops up in my brain, that means their brand is very, very valuable. Would you agree?
Yes.
That if you and your brand popped up in the brain of your ideal client, in the moment that they're in that kind of pain, that you would have done your job as a business person and a marketer. That's what branding is all about. That's all we're trying to do. Okay, so it began in farms, and it's all about longevity. What is a brand character is every successful product or business has a personality, like a human trait, a set of human traits, whether you recognize it or not. And I'm going to show you some big company examples, and I'm going to take you to how it can look like for your small business. It often reflects the founder's character. Now, think about this guy, Richard Branson. What is this guy like? You remember him? He's crazy, right? He's a little crazy. Do you remember he jumped out of a plane wearing a wedding gown to launch his wedding business? So he's just crazy. What is his business like? What are his marketing campaigns like? They're all kind of crazy like that, right? So that's him. Anita Roddick, Body Shop. What's she known for?
Her activism.
Yeah, animal activism. She was against animal testing.
May she rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry?
She passed away.
Yeah, from cancer, I know.
She did?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah. And Donald Trump, what is he known for?
Money.
Bad hair. Money, yeah. I mean, he's over the top on everything, isn't he? He's just larger than the world. Yeah, he went bankrupt, but he came back, didn't he?
Twice.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so look at I went on the Virgin website. This is their home page. Do you know what that is? That picture in the circle?
Magnifying glass?
Okay. It's lines of cocaine. Somebody's doing lines of cocaine.
Oh, God.
How many of you would have lines of cocaine on your website homepage?
Unless you're a dealer or something.
Unless you're a dealer, in which case you may not have a website. So
You wouldn't need one.
it's unbelievable, isn't it? Think about how his personality is translating to his branding. How about the Body Shop? Look at their website. Everything's about give, give, give. Everything's give. This woman is about giving. Do you think she's about giving? Look at the world of Trump. He has his own world, for God's sake. He doesn't belong to ours. How many of you have heard about this controversy, the Abercrombie and Fitch, the CEO called?
Yeah.
What was the controversy? Can you
Controversy was about not having large sizes in store. So they wanted to focus on slim, quote-unquote, beautiful people.
tell? Right.
Not
Well, and right. So how clear is this guy about his brand character? And yes, it's not very nice. It's divisive. I'll give him that. But it's clear. And guess what? When you have a clear brand character, he knows his operational strategy. He's not going to have lines that produce a certain size. He knows his HR strategy. He knows who he's not going to hire for his stores. He knows his communication strategy. He knows what kind of talent he's going to hire for his shoots. He knows who is going to be working for him. He knows who's going to be shopping for him. So that's what a brand character does for your business. Okay, how does it work for small businesses? Has anybody ever heard of Suzanne Evans?
Yeah.
She's got a company called Grow a Pair. I mean, that's the event. Grow a Pair. How is that? She is a business coach in the U.S., very, very successful, and she swears like a sailor in front of the audience. In fact, she throws grenades, like stuffed grenades, emblazoned with the letter F, and throws them into the audience, because she says she's throwing F-bombs. She sells them. She sells T-shirts at her events. She's got another company called Hell Yeah. This is her brand, and if you think it's offensive, she's a millionaire, right? And same as Howard Stern. Like, he's offensive, right? But he's a millionaire. Doesn't mean you have to be offensive. It just means you take your personality and you make it a big part of your brand to differentiate yourself. The insurance mom. I spoke to an insurance person today. I hope he's in the audience. It's very, very difficult to differentiate yourself when you're a realtor, when you're an insurance broker, a mortgage broker, any of those. This is what the insurance mom did. The insurance mom does not recommend buying insurance on a website because a website can't take care of you like mom. And then call your mom, do yourself a favor, and then chicken soup because mom knows what's good for you. This is a brand character. Another example is, how many of you know Patagonia? Right, I love this brand. I used to save all my pennies in university just so I could get their catalog. Who knows what Cyber Monday is? What is it?
It's the Monday after US Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and what's special about it?
All the online offers start that day, not on Black Friday.
That's right. It's the largest online shopping day in the year. And so on that day, what kind of emails do you get from retailers? Yeah, you get discounts, right? You get stuff. Well, guess what? I got, don't buy this jacket. I couldn't believe it. And I read further, and it said today is Cyber Monday. It'll likely be the biggest online shopping day ever, and it's to bring public attention to online shopping, but it is the culture of consumption. It reflects, puts the economy in the red for our resources, for our planet, and we're now using 1.5 times the resources for our only planet. So if you're gonna buy, please think about buying before you buy anything, us or anyone else. What kind of emails should you be sending based on your brand character to your clients? Don't you think this demonstrates their brand character in a really, really different way? This is mine. Mine is no-nonsense marketing coaching for small business. And when I was in the corporate world, this was my downfall, is that I would say anything to anyone that I thought of because I couldn't lie, even if they were the CEO. And I couldn't soft soap anything. And this has become, this character is part of me. I was born with it. It used to be that way when I was 2. Now it's part of my business, and I'm using it in my marketing. What feature should you be using in your character to make yourself different? And the other part of my character is I like to laugh. So if any of you go onto my website, on my homepage, there's a Monty Python video where it's called the directionless run, the Olympics for the directionless run. It's hilarious. So I want you to go and see it. And it's actually a metaphor for my clients because they don't know where to spend their marketing dollars. They don't know where to market, what to do, and they're directionless. So that's why I thought it was a really good way to connect what I do. Here's another one, Practically Daughters, Seniors Moving. Look at the picture. In fact, they have packages called Practically Daughter packages. So this is all a persona. So your steps are, what are the 3 top characteristics of your character that can become your brand? And then take it through your whole strategy to see, does your brand name, your business communication, your business cards, your homepage, your email, everything, your blogs, your keynote titles, do they reflect your brand character? How many of you can say that your brand character is reflected consciously in every part of your marketing in the room? Is somewhat? Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah, is it consciously? Good. Yeah. So the bigger you make your character, the more conscious it is, the more differentiated you become. And that's the first part of gentle marketing, is to attract people, because just like with Suzanne Evans, she attracts people who are completely no nonsense and who don't mind about being sworn at, right? You attract the kind of people that are attracted to you. Okay, so the second part we're going to have time for is have a niche. Does anybody know, can they explain it to a 4-year-old what a niche is? Having a focus, yeah? Yeah.
A niche is a group of defined group of people within a larger society that has certain characteristics that are similar among all of them, but are different from the rest of society.
Okay, so basically what was said is that a niche is a group of people who have similar characteristics within a larger group who have similar characteristics. Okay, so in ecology, it comes from ecology. Here's the picture. It's a cranny, it's a hollow. It's small, guys. But for us, it's a focused, targetable subsection. So let me show you a model for a business. So there are 4 different models for niching. The top, and you can draw this if you like, you can take notes. The first part is called the square. And the square is having a whole bunch of different who's, customer targets, and having a whole bunch of services and products. So, for example, you can be serving small business owners, corporate department managers, HR managers. How many of you have multiple marketing targets like that? A lot of them, okay. Not everyone though. And then the bottom is the what. So you could be offering a whole bunch of different services or products to them. How many of you have multiple services or products to offer? How many of you only have one product or service? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take you through. So the whole idea is when you're moving through these shapes, the further you move to this side, to the right, the better it is for your business. So the first model is called I'll work with everyone and do everything. And that is not niched, right? When you're doing everything with everyone, you're not niched. The next model is an upside down triangle where you're doing you're doing one thing with a lot of different people. So the leadership coaching, let's say, but you do it with everyone. How many of you have this model? Okay. This one I call the Chuck E. Cheese. Sorry, no, this one is the product. So this is like the Starbucks model. So they're concentrated on their product and service. The next one is the Chuck E. Cheese model, which is you only have one customer group that you're focused on, but you offer them everything. Okay? How many of you have that model? Okay. Now the last model is the easiest to market. And because you only have one customer target and you have one product or service you offer to them. How many of you have that? I think we have one hand up. One. Okay. Paul. Good job. It is extremely hard if you're in the square to move over to the line. Can anybody think of why. Why is it hard to move over? Yeah.
Because I think you're gonna lose a lot of revenue.
You're going to lose revenue, yeah.
Transition.
Okay. What else?
They have to get rid of most of their target clients and most of their products.
They have to get rid of most of their target clients and most of their products. Yeah.
Everything else is supposed to go in.
Right. So I want to clarify for all of you that this is a communication model. What I want from out of all of you is, if you're in the square, to move at least even to just the next one in your marketing. It doesn't mean you stop doing business. It doesn't mean you stop the revenue. It doesn't mean you turn the phones off if the other people are calling. It's about how you market yourself going forward. So you pick one niche to concentrate on and one product or service to concentrate your marketing and messaging on. Let's talk about some of the top 5 benefits. There's my little baby. I mean, that's when he was really younger. How many of you have had kids who refused to graduate from puree on to the next? I did. I'm the only person in the room. Okay. Well, you know when the baby's graduating from puree, from mush onto regular food, you're supposed to put bigger and bigger chunks. Well, he would choke on them, and he refused to eat, and he was starving. So I thought he was starving. Does he look like he was starving? Yeah, so I thought he was starving. So I went crazy, and I hired 3 different pediatric nutritionists because I thought he was starving. And I would have done anything, they said, and none of them could help me. So what happened was, one of them finally gave me a name of a woman called Kelly Speck in Vancouver. And we Skyped, and she was a specialist, believe it or not, in puree transition, graduation. So not only was she a pediatric nutritionist, but she was an expert in this. And the way that I got her name was through her competitors, so-called competitors. Can you believe that? And she charged me a time and a half versus what everybody else was charging. Do you think I was willing to pay? Do you think I did everything she said? Do you think it's been 5 years I'm still talking about her? And I do a lot of talking. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds, God knows how many calls she's gotten from me. Well, from people who I've talked to. So here are the benefits based on that story of picking a narrow niche. Increased credibility and fees as an expert. I always say this to my clients. I pay 1.5 times for my children's dentist because they know, and then they can put up with him screaming, versus my own dentist. And believe me, we had to put him in a headlock, the first couple of times we had to take him. They taught us to do that. We didn't think that was legal. Increase your perceived value. That woman could say anything to me and I would do it. Competition becomes colleagues and referrals. How many of you took advantage of the Coach's Corner today? I'm very proud, and I'm so glad that you did, because I'm very proud to say that that's something that I took to conferences in Toronto. I heard about it from the US, and I copied it, and I now work with, and typically, I didn't hire the coaches here at this conference, but last year I did. Typically, I work with my colleagues who are coaches. What would it be like for you to go with your competition, so-called competition, but who isn't niched in the same way that you are, and then offer your services to an industry event like this? What would that do to your visibility? So competition becomes colleagues, and then attract higher quality clients, because I find experts hire experts, and they expect to pay top dollar for experts. And increase marketing effectiveness, and we're going to talk about that. So some of the reasons why people are afraid, and thank you for coming forward with that. You're afraid that you're going to lose some income if you target very, very niche. And that's when people are afraid of starving. Can anybody come back with why they won't starve? What's a comeback to that? What's a reasoning that you can come up with in answer to that? Yeah.
That your sales have doubled, you get, charge more money, so you get more. Even if it's one, at least one is paying more than the other two.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole idea is if it's the right niche, if you've picked the right niche, there's enough business there. But what's stopping you is something called scarcity mentality, because you're always afraid of there isn't enough. There isn't enough in this. And don't get me wrong, there are niches that there aren't enough in. And you need to find that out systematically and strategically before starting your business. And it shouldn't be about throwing spaghetti against the wall to figure out if this is your niche or not. There is a way to figure that out. That's what I learned at the big guys. Because they don't do that. They don't throw the spaghetti at the wall. Yeah.
I think a big thing is that confidence.
Sorry?
Having the confidence to say no.
The
That's a
confidence
big
to say
part.
no,
Like
yeah.
thinking you're going to start, but also thinking that you don't, that you should, just in case you're not an expert.
Right, okay, so that's where I'm no expert. So I had thank you for that, that's a very good valid one. If you don't feel like you have enough of an expertise in one area, what do you have to do to become an expert in that area? What do you have to do to become an expert in that area?
Find someone who knows the topic.
Learn, right? I mean, I had a client, but you know, it's not about what you don't know, it's about mindset, right? It's all about that scarcity mentality. I just don't know enough. I had a client who was very, very interested in green products. And is that my timer? Okay. Oh my God, something's ringing. I don't know. I hope it's not a bomb. So one of my clients who was very interested in green and being green refused to call himself a green expert in his business, and he had an ad agency. And he refused for whatever reason to do whatever it took to get him to become an expert. And years later, after we finished our work, even though he refused that to call himself